So in terms of like the preparation for yourself, you were saying obviously that mental preparation. How did you do that? How did you manage to keep everyone together?
Do you want the real answer?
Paul O'Neill, former British touring car championship driver, ITV commentator, celebrity goggleboxer, a brother of a Spice Girl with a huge passion for charity work. Paul has led an incredible life.
You know, I've been to races where I've won a race and it's like there's 40,000 people there and they all want to see you and it's like you feel like the king.
You were like top of the world. Yes. And then it seemed almost like...
I wasn't Paul O'Neill anymore. And once you see a glimmer of light, you go, do you know what? They were actually right. So then you try hard and you work hard and then you start winning races and then you're a hero for a day and working in IKEA the next day. On bedroom, Paul from bedrooms, not touring car, king of Oulton Park, Paul O'Neill on live ITV. And people used to say to me, you know, I never thought that of you. You seem so like out there and how can you be anxious? And it's
no one knows what's really going on though, I think.
I actually got to a point where I was like, not too sure I'm going to be able to do this. I couldn't afford to be my sister's shadow.
Yeah. Okay.
This was my one chance to do something for me.
Yeah. I think it'd be really nice to start with the Oulton Haven Hospice, and if you'd just like to tell me a little bit about kind of the challenge that you've just done recently, because it was huge. That was
pretty big. It's interesting because, you know, when you're doing something like we did a London to Paris ride, it looks quite long and, you know, big on paper, and you think, you know, it'll be fine. And then when you've actually done it, the scale of what you've done only becomes apparent when people start to talk to you about it. Yeah. So, like, you know, you're in the mindset and the focus of, I had 16 people do it with me and some of them had never ridden a bike.
Really?
And some of them had never ridden a bike, and I mean a road bike. They'd not ridden a bike for like 15, 20 years. So some of the people were, you know, going from 15 miles a day and struggling to do that, and they had 326 miles to do in 4 days. So as the captain of the team, it was a difficult one, and I had personal phone calls from other people who were my good friends from school who were on the ride, who can ride bikes. Are you doing the right thing here, mate? I'm not too sure we're going to get some of these girls and boys across the line. And I was like, nah, don't worry about it. But yeah, we did question ourselves a bit, but we got it done. And for the Oulton Haven Hospice, it's something pretty close to my heart. My brother was in there quite a few years ago, you know, end of life care, that kind of stuff. He had a throat cancer. But it's a great charity. It's only very small, the hospice, but if you went there, you would not believe what you'd see. They're just the best people ever. The nurses, everyone that works there are great. So we just thought, you know, as a team, we'd done things for them before, little rides, and I say little, 80 miles, which that was a challenge.
Huge.
It was a challenge back then.
Yeah.
And it really was difficult to do like an 80-mile ride in a day. And like, so I got some of my friends from school whose mums had passed away in there, and fathers and family. So see, that's where it stemmed from. And I just got in touch with them in the pandemic and said, is there anything we can do for you? Because I know you're struggling now, because there's no, you know, you can't fundraise, you can't put party in the hospice on or anything like that. You know, they've got beautiful greenery that they'll do stalls and stuff like that. Couldn't do anything, so we just tried to help out, and I think we have. And the London to Paris ride was 4 days of keeping my mouth shut, actually, because I didn't want to let on how hard it was, because with being a type 1 diabetic, for me it was the heat, the insulin, they're not eating properly, they're not sleeping properly, and you're the team leader, so you're kind of just like trying to deflect everything, and everyone else has got the problems as well. So there was like 17 stories on that whole thing where you're just trying to keep the team together and keep them focused, and not one of them went in what we call the love bus, which is the bus that sweeps you up if you're not going to get to the end. Some of the days were 90-mile days through northern France to Paris. Goodness. And it was great. And then I was speaking to my mum and dad and my sister about it, and they were like, you know, will you get expenses, will you get this, that and the other, because it costs quite a few quid for us to get flights back and all the logistics, losing, you know, a bit of work. I was like, for the money it cost to be with those people was just, you know, amazing. So it was really cool.
So in terms of if someone wanted to still give to Oulton Haven Hospice, is that possible? Where do they go to support you?
Yeah.
Can he support you through a link for yourself as well still? Or?
Yeah, there's a link for the team, and it's just given. I think it's it's Paul O'Neill's Team O'Neill hospice right, so Oulton Haven Hospice, and you'll see it on there. But yeah, I think I've just spoke to Elle from the hospice, and she was telling me it's just under £50,000 today. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, really cool.
And so in terms of like the preparation for yourself, you were saying obviously that mental preparation. How did you do that? How did you manage to keep everyone together?
Do you want the real answer?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Not sure.
No, it was. We knew it was going to be difficult, but I think, you know, people say to me, you know, your personality will get you through. And when you speak to the people on it, some of them I didn't know that well, so they were, you know, I just like to crack a joke. And even when it's like you're having the worst time, and I mean, it rained for 90 miles on one of the days. It was one of the worst. Yeah. It's one of the hardest days of my life. Actually, it was just. I know it sounds like rain, but when you're having to ride in the rain for 8 hours, it's just the worst thing in the world. Cold rain. Yeah. But I think, because the people who did it were doing it for the right reasons as well, I think that it was just, you know, just having...
Like your mindset, you've got to get through it.
We've got to get through it. Yeah. And I'm not... You can see me here, I'm a 15-stone guy, I'm a big lad, I'm not an athlete. You know, it's like... It's hard for me to ride a bike, I'm not cut out for it. But I had to be seen as one of those people. I had to be at the front. I had to lead by example. So a lot of them are fitter than me, but the different fitness is, you know, on a bike.
Don't you feel like you're more challenged though when you are at the front like that? I often do, and if I'm running, or I'll find that I'm like, I need to really and I try too hard.
Try
almost
too hard.
A bit, push yourself too much.
Yeah, you can do that. I think from my job, you know, with racing cars back in the day, I like to know what it takes to just make sure we get the right things done at the right time, and you know, just making sure everyone's okay. Because like anything, when you spend that much time with people, it can be a bit of a pain, you know, because people start to, you know, they go in fractions, and I had to just make sure that everyone was cool, everybody was together. And they were great. It was a great team, actually. But yeah, difficult. But I think that might come from the sports side of things, where I'm just like, we do this, we do that. And you don't look at it as the ride to Paris. You break it up into every 10 miles. Yeah. And we get to this, and we get to the lunch stop, we think ahead,
It's a great technique that I do that with running. It's like next lamppost.
Yeah, well, no, it is. It's the same.
Do that next lamppost.
Yeah, no, it's the same. Yeah. I've done a bit of running, but it's exactly that. It's making sure... and my manager Chris, he taught me this, where we went cycling in the Alps, and it was the worst experience of my whole life, because it was just hills and hills and hills, and it was horrible. But I did every kilometre up this pretty famous hill for the Tour de France, but it was like 8 miles of death. It was horrible. And I just did it in segments. I just got to the next kilometre and I counted it down, and that's all I ever do with life, really, just like trying to count down to get to my next goal.
And what do you feel like after that then? So there must have been this euphoria, was there? Or...
Yeah, when we got, well, listen, if you've seen the video, like, we rode to the Eiffel Tower, you know, there's people cheering and stuff. It was great. But yeah, you kind of, when you get there, you kind of know what you've done, but you don't understand what you've achieved. It's only other people that tell you what you've achieved, because you've been so focused on what you're doing that everything else, you blink it out. It's only when you stop, you get off your bike, and then you realise you've got to cycle another 5 miles to the hotel. You got a bottle of Heineken up Champs-Elysees, wherever it's got a bottle of Heineken on the... I mean, I shouldn't really tell you. A bottle of Heineken in my water bottle holder, and, you know, it's party time then, you know. But we couldn't party, because half the team were... Some of these people were... plus 50 years of age, that, you know, they'd been in 28 degree heat, 14 degree rain, you know, just a headwind all the way through northern France. It was, but you know what, now I'm talking about it, I've never really spoken properly about it, so now I'm thinking, that was actually an achievement, because it was hard work. But yeah, it's just nice when you pitch up for jobs as the weeks have gone on and people come and shake your hand and go, well done for doing this. And, people I really respect as well, like other drivers who are competing at the top UK championship that I drove in, who I didn't really like and I didn't speak to. They're sponsoring you. They're coming to shake your hand, and I think, it must be an achievement. That
is an amazing thing. And I think it's just like you've got to like recognise the lessons that you learned on that journey. And did anyone speak about what they came through themselves, or what, like the change of mindset? Or
can I tell you something? So we were all on road bikes, and if you road bike, it's less resistance than a mountain bike. So there was a particular lad on there, Stuart his name was, and normal lad from Runcorn, works in Runcorn. He wanted to get involved. He did it on a mountain bike, right? Now that's just totally bizarre. Like, they're not geared for it. They don't go as fast as road bikes. They've got really wide tyres on. The efficiency is all gone. He probably rode, in efficiency terms, twice as much as we did, and I couldn't get my breath. We ripped into pieces for having a mountain bike, but he had my respect, you know what I mean? That was proper effort, that. But there was a lot of the guys that didn't really talk about it, because fellas, like we know, they don't really speak about much. They just get on with it. So from the fellas side,
which needs to change.
Yeah, of course it does. It does need to change, and I'm quite happy talking about stuff like that. It doesn't really bother me. If it helps anyone else out, then it's fine. But guys generally are not great at that, and it was near enough half and half, guys and girls. But it was so funny to speak to the girls, because it wasn't funny, but they're just so open. Like, literally, I don't know whether it's because we're guys and they're open to us, but they're open in general to each other, the girls. And I can't tell you, there's one girl on that, Tracy, she couldn't even ride 10 miles. She couldn't ride 10 miles so, and she was questioning herself massively, and we all had to like get together and say, no one gets left behind, we all finish together, it's all good, don't worry about it. But she'd come through massive mental battles of trying to get up to the fitness, because she just didn't want to let anyone down. But it wasn't just her, there was a girl called Donna on there as well. Like, in our WhatsApp group, these people are doing like 6 miles on a mountain bike, and then I've got people, like I said, ringing me going, are you sure they're going to be all right doing this? And I'm thinking, absolutely not. No, I'm worried. But I couldn't let them know that. No. So you have to kind of lie and then make sure we're doing the right thing and get the job done. But, for Donna as well, in particular, she worked in a hospice, and she left the hospice with her best friend in there, and knowing that she probably wouldn't see her again. How bad's that? So we had all them stories going on, and she didn't have a personal phone with her, so she didn't know, and we found out on day one she passed away. So all these stories are going on, and like, she's learned a lot about herself now, and thinking she couldn't do anything like she's done. And I think I know what I love about it is when people do something like that and they surpass what they ever thought they could do. It helps them in life, because when I speak to them afterwards now, you can see this little glint in their eye and nothing to challenge. Do you see what I mean? Because they've kind of they've come out the comfort zone and give it the big one. So that's the byproduct of it, and that's what is also lovely. Not just the hospice and the money raised. No. It's these people who are giving the time
that they've grown from.
Exactly that. So it is amazing. It's really cool.
I always think that, don't you? The biggest challenges you have, you kind of learn lessons that you could never get if that challenge didn't come. So and that it comes through life then with you.
So I've always been taught by my family, because all my family are on stage. My mum and dad, mid-70s, late 70s, they're still banging out Tina Turner and Bryan Adams and people like that. They are amazing, they're so good, and they still do it, and they're amazing. The other thing, my sister, I remember, when we were younger, we lived in a 2-bed terrace, so we were in bunk beds. So I spent a lot of time knowing that my sister wanted to be this absolute superstar and was so committed to the cause that I used to go to see competitions, because she was a dancer. I didn't know she was a singer until I was like 11, when I seen her actually perform with me mum and dad, and I was like, this is a bit weird. So she did a GCSE singing with me mum in the school. It's weird. It was amazing, like, and she's not a bad singer, to be fair, but it was just unbelievable for me you know, to be brought up with these amazing positive people who always said, you know, if you're worried about something and you've just got to push yourself over the edge and do it. And I wouldn't be sat here today if it wasn't that kind of stuff I took on board. You know, I have to present live television.
Yeah.
I'm anxious. I hate it. Hate it. I've had to sit outside the circuit, and my series editor has had to come and find me and go, "You all right, mate?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "I can't do it. It's like I've got terrible anxiety today. It's not. It's going to be a problem." So he's gone, "Right, okay, this is what we'll do then. We'll stick you, instead of a piece to camera on your own, looking down the lens at a million people, we'll get you with the other two presenters and we'll have a little chat, and then, I mean, now, you know, my nerves are calm and then we can go." So, but and people used to say to me, you know, "I never thought that of you. You seem so out there, and how can you be anxious?" And it's
no one knows what's really going on, though. I think that's the thing. And I think because there's so much front in a way from a lot of people, there's those people who kind of think, "Oh no, I can't be that, I can't do that," and it's so sad to hear, isn't it? It's like, that's why having these conversations lets people understand that we're all human, we all go through these emotions, and that's okay.
But that's the thing, it is okay, and that's why. And listen, let's be honest, I could sit here and lie and say, no, I'm probably, you know, I get well paid doing presenting jobs. I can present anything if you want. I've literally been to a gate and turned around because I can't do it. And I'm quite happy telling people that, because the more I talk about that, because I've had it before, I had a Q&A for a motor racing Q&A, and I waxed lyrical for the first time about anxiety and stuff like that. This guy came up to me, sat in the car, and he went, "I just want to shake your hand, mate. I've never told anyone about my problems, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing, you know." Yeah. You have this blocking system where you don't want to talk about it because you don't want people to go, "Better not book in for our next job." But I couldn't care less, because I think to a point your path is led by what you do, and, you know, you crack on and you do your best and you're just honest and see where it goes. But this lad, he was like literally in tears going, "Thanks for doing that." And I thought, well, that chat's just made my day, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think you just have to be honest about it. But it's difficult, and I understand people don't want to talk about it,
I think honesty is like the one thing, though, that it'll just keep leading you to the right things. I think making the right choices and being honest and doing good generally comes to those good outcomes anyway. So, you know.
So like I know that's dead right. For me, anyway, I know that my family have always said to me, if you can lie straight in bed at night, you don't have to look over your shoulder. I owe nobody nothing. I owe nobody nothing. I'm not worried about what people think of me, because I don't think I do anything particularly terrible. So I know I can sleep straight in bed at night. It's not a problem. But that's what I always tell people. And if you do that, everything else is, people might say you're a bit happy-go-lucky. I'm not too sure about that. Well, I am, but at the same time, I'll always make sure that I'm doing the right things to make sure that I can have a life. You know, my job is important to me, but sometimes, have I done stuff that's cost me money? Probably yes, because I've been too honest. But in the long run, I see that as it'll
come back round.
It'll come back round.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, and I can lie straight in bed. If I'd have done that for a quick buck, I wouldn't be able to lie straight in bed. So that's how I live,
And I think it's those people who are around people supporting each other as well. And you'll find that there's those good people around that, like that producer who said, "Come on then, let's do it this way." That's the most wonderful thing, isn't it? You know, there is producers, I'm sure, who'll, "No, that's it, but generally speaking, you do find those good supportive people. Like I've been in that position myself where I've had actors, you know, even at Emmerdale, I'd see actors who were so scared and so nervous and just needed some reassurance. That's sometimes all it is, isn't it? Where it's just chill out, just relax, it's fine. Just do the bits that you can do the bits that you're good at. Just kind of go back to yourself, almost like center yourself, isn't it? A little bit. It's like getting in your mind a bit too much. Yeah, and start thinking it through maybe too much.
I think so. And do you know what I notice quite a lot now? I'm 42, but when I first started driving and racing, I was 18, and I was like the quietest person. I mean, I've always been, when I see people from school and they haven't seen me for a long time, they're always like, "We always knew you'd end up doing something where you know, you're trying to make people laugh or whatever, and you'll have a practical joke." And I'm like, "Yeah, I suppose so," but they've also seen the side of me where I'm quiet and I don't want to speak, and it's not, you know, it's all a bit a struggle. And my first ever TV interview for racing, I can't watch it because it was horrific. Like, it was embarrassing. I couldn't speak. I was literally just overcome with anxiety. And I didn't know what it was then, but I look back and I'm like, that's where it's come from. That I can see why I was like that. But now I deal with younger kids who are racing 17, 18, and they come to speak to me now, because I think when I interview people, I just make them I try to make them feel comfortable. And if it's a live one or it's recorded, I'll put an arm around them and I'm like, "You all good?" And they're like, "I don't really like to talk. Well, it's this, and this. Yeah. Let's see how it works." And there's not a skill, I don't think. There's just a little bit of I think you just got to be human.
Yeah, I actually thought the same. Absolutely, yeah.
I think that helps out. But yeah, it's amazing what people can do if they feel a bit loved or they've got an arm around them.
Yeah.
And I've always performed better in my racing if I've raced for some of the best teams in the UK and not performed well enough because it's been digital. We're paying you this, we expect this, and it's that. I've gone race for a family team and I've won races and I've kicked the backside of the team that I'm not with anymore because the wife and the husband, arm round us, going into the grid.
Do your best.
Do your best, mate. Do you know what? Just go and enjoy yourself. Yeah. Come back with a smile on your face. We don't care.
Don't you think there's something in that, enjoying yourself? There's something in the love of something and like the passion of something and the enjoyment and trying to be in that place rather than the fear. It's almost like when the fear seeps in, the outcome's not the same almost. There's too many like restrictions and fear in that first, like what you said there. It's like, it has to be like this, it has to be like that. It's like, well, where's the enjoyment? It's like, that's just numbers, isn't it? It's just... Yeah,
it's binary code, isn't it? 1 or 0. I find, for me, I just think that is it from what we see in the world that it's got to be this and it's got to be that? You know, can we not just take a step back and go... Because when the fear's in there... I mean, listen, you should always have nerves. Yeah. And people say to me, don't worry about the anxiety thing, you know, that's because you care. Yeah. And
that's a true statement.
Let me be honest as well. I've just come off a really big presenting job for Kia UK, who I do a bit of work for. Yeah. And it was one of the biggest jobs I've done because it was a lot of prep work and a lot of things going on. But I actually got to a point where I was like, I'm not too sure I'm going to be able to do this, because it was no auto cues, massive script, bullet points on an iPad, and that was it. Yeah. And it was branding terms that I wasn't comfortable with. I'm not a clever person. I went to school, I scraped through GCSEs, I could have done A-levels, but I chose to drop that, and so I'm not that clever. Yeah. But I can take on board things and I can change things to my own liking so I can just get it across, and that's what I did. Yeah. But that was an anxious job. That was really not nice at all. But once I got in the flow of it, I was okay. But it is, you know, someone did say to me, because you've got that anxiety, you know, I put a picture on and I was like, a bit anxious about that job, but it went ever so well, this, that and the other. And someone said, you should always have a bit of fear or anxiety, which is cool, but at the same time, it's like, if that then starts to escalate, you're in trouble. Massive trouble. Yeah. And you have to control that for sure. But whatever you're doing, you've got to enjoy it. The day I stop enjoying whatever I do, I'm fortunate enough to go, not for me anymore, that. You know, some people don't have that choice, and that's the problem.
Well, sometimes they don't have the choice in the way that maybe you have the choice, but then they always have a choice, but they won't take that chance. You know, they won't sacrifice. I think sometimes there's a sacrifice in choices as well, and that potentially, they might not like change it and stay in the same thing and just be miserable. I always find that such a shame and such a sad thing to see. But there is always a way to change things, I think. I hope that there is.
I'm so with you. But I have friends like that who, in the pandemic, they live on their own like me, and you're constantly finding ways to try to get them out of the shell, get them out of a rut that they're stuck in. They don't see a way out. You know, it could be just walking the dog with them. I find worked with a particular friend of mine.
Movement is really important, getting
Massive.
out and doing something, especially when you're in your head. You need to kind of get out of your head, and I think it's into your physical body somehow, you know.
Yeah, it's exactly that. The eyes are the window to your soul, aren't they? And I think that, you know, some people don't see enough. They don't understand. You know, if I'm like, there's nothing better than going down the park, or, you know, my life is on the move constantly. And it's not just because I take as many jobs as I can, it's because, and people say, you're going to stress yourself out. I'm like, no, this is cool. I need to see different things. If I don't see different things, I will go into a rut. I know I will. That's how I operate. It's why I cycle a lot. The cycling helps other people out. And the whole thing for me is just about trying to, you know, get through. Listen, it's sad times, isn't it? The world is in just absolute disarray, and that can destroy people. They read the news. You
see the news every day, then
yes, exactly. And that's one thing I have a problem with is people watching too much news. I watch news so I know things about my job, and it's not nice that I have to watch some of it, but at the same time you
don't consume yourself with the news. I think that's a massive thing for people. I think, definitely. I know people who have alerts, and it has to be on every app, and knowing everything that's going on all the time. And I just think sometimes, I think if it's the worst of the worst, you'll find out. It'll come to you. People will talk, and we'll all, you know.
My family tell me if I need to know anything about news, then I'm sure they will tell me, you know, what it's about. But it is that, you're right, and it consumes people, but it's just too easy to sit there and take in this window of fear that's in your front room at the end of the day. And I'm not saying you shouldn't.
Well, it's kind of that, like, I need to see because I need to be protective of myself in some way. I need to know what's going on, and I get that. But news is also got to be. It's. I mean, we could go into it, but there's, you know, it's a business as well to a degree, isn't it? And
it's a battle. It's a battle, but you know, you just have to try and live your happiest life, I suppose, don't you?
Absolutely.
And it's, you know, and like, you know, we said off camera before, it's not human to be happy all of the time. It just isn't. That's not what humans for.
I feel like you need a balance, you know. It's just a balance as much as possible to be as balanced, and then you have those happy times, and sometimes those happy times bring us so far up that it seems a bit low, but you're getting back to being balanced, and knowing that kind of information is important. As you know, we were saying about your friend who's always very up here and quite high, and obviously, you know, once you start to come back to a balanced state, it can seem quite low. And I think even just people understanding that information is really important. It helps with your kind of mental health, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably like my diabetes, where it's a problem for me if it's the spikes that cause the problem. So anything that goes high really quick, my blood sugar going high really quick or low really quickly, that can cause you a problem within your blood and within your whole body. So I see it as the same, where, you know, I've been to races where I've won a race and it's like there's 40,000 people there and they all want to see you, and it's like you feel like the king. Next day, I was actually working in IKEA at the same time because I was bored in the week. And I'm not saying IKEA is a bad place.
No.
You know,
you were like top of the world, and then it seemed almost like, and it could be quite
anymore.
Destructive.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't Paul O'Neill anymore, and that was the thing. But yeah, I've learned how to deal with that kind of stuff.
Today's episode is supported by the Queen's Hotel, a place I highly recommend to eat, drink, and recharge, relax in comfort and design. Build business and networks to celebrate in style. The Queen's, time well spent. So let's go back to racing, if that's okay. So just looking at kind of getting into racing and the love of racing, how did that all begin?
So racing's an expensive thing to do, and any Formula One driver you see has had big money put their way to get them to where they're going. I loved racing. Sunday afternoons would be either football in our house, or I had one telly, so I'd always take the remote control, and it was BBC One, it was Formula One, and I just used to watch that. Loved it, absolutely loved it. So I'm like 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way through my teens, loved it. And my dad was a taxi driver, and my mum was in and out of work as a receptionist for the NHS. So we didn't have massive money, but I can't ever think when I ever had a bad time when I lived at home, because it was just awesome. We had what we had. We knew we were going on holiday somewhere if we stopped going to the pub on a Sunday.
That's brilliant. That's really wonderful.
I've got like no qualms about, not having this, not having that.
Yeah.
Because we had everything we wanted. But
it sounds like you had a lot of love.
We did, yeah.
Which is the main, isn't it?
Exactly that, yeah. No, it's great. And, when your parents are still together, it's a lovely thing. And it helps you out in life as well. And to know what is a good thing and what is a bad thing. It's an interesting time to be a single person, I think, as well. Because, so much technology and stuff, you just don't know, where to go with that one. But, yeah, the racing thing, to go back to that.
Yeah.
I loved it. Loved watching it on the telly. My mum and dad started to get into it because I just hogged the television on a Sunday, and
there was no choice.
There was just no choice. Joan and Den had to watch F1. Game over. And that then moved on to something called British Touring Cars, because it was on Grandstand at the time. So F1 would be on and the touring cars would be on. It was in the UK, and I was like, I love this. This is amazing. It's fast. It's this. It's that. I'd never driven a car. I'd never driven a kart, so I didn't know what it was all about. Anyway, that all went on for years, watching that. And then when my sister got famous in 95, I was 15 and I'd left school but was going to do A-levels in Widnes, and I only did it for 6 months. Literally, I got well depressed because the sister thing had kicked off, and there was people doing flying kicks and like stuff at me and calling me all sorts of stuff.
It's harsh, isn't it, sometimes?
It was just being kids. But at the time, I didn't like it. And it was not a nice time for me at all. I hated it. I was getting in a bit of trouble, not with the police or anything, just people calling me family, this, that and the other. They were jealous when I look back, but we still lived in the same place. My dad didn't want to move.
Yeah.
My sister was a multi-millionaire by that time. Dad didn't want to move, and then the press moved us by hiding in the front, at the front privets and the garden and stuff. So Mel was like, you need out of here. By this time, I was like, reacting to people giving me grief and like lashing out.
You're getting the energy almost. It's going to come out,
there was nowhere for it to go.
Yeah.
So, you tell me a normal person who's going to listen to someone call your sister an horrible word, it's not going to happen. So, I'd lash out, getting in trouble. Sister said to me, Mum's worried about you. You need to be coming on the world tour, get out the way. So I went on the world tour with the girls and the dancers and all those people, and they really looked after me. And that was a nice bit of energy as well, because seeing all those guys and girls doing what they were doing and getting involved, and I was hanging out with some cool people.
Did you learn something in those moments? Was there anything like advice or anything at that time that you felt like, oh, this is important, I need to...
Well, I think so. I'll tell you who was really cool with me, actually. I got on well with Mel B, and her sister Danielle, who I only spoke to weirdly yesterday, and I spoke to her for years. I was trying to sort out a problem with a car, and so they're obviously from up this neck of the woods in Leeds, and they're just decent, normal people. But I remember Mel B always used to spend a bit of time with me, because I think that she could see probably something in me that was maybe her, and she always used to say to me, just do what makes you happy, and don't, if you have a passion, don't lose it. And that was a really cool bit of advice. And I remember my sister then put me in touch with the chef for the world tour, and because my sister knew that I wanted to race, this lady chef, her brother raced in GT racing here in the UK. So we got talking, I got his details, and the next minute Armel's paying for me to do my race licence.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then Armel just said, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I'd love to race cars. I wanted to be in the police force, but I couldn't, I wouldn't have been able to do that, especially with diabetes now. But so anyway, she said, do whatever makes you happy. I've got the money to help you. I've been very fortunate. Find out how you go about it. Looked into it, got a team, started racing. She paid for the first couple of years. Through OK magazine and people like that as well that wanted publications and stuff. It was all about her, but I was the byproduct of it, and they give us money to go racing. Started, never raced in my life. I was awful. No.
Really?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was shocking.
Wow.
Crashing, barrel rolling, catching fire, everyone making fun of me. It was the worst decision of my life at the time.
Yeah.
And then something clicked and I got good. And another team helped me out, and I was with them for 20 years. They believed in me, and we did brilliant, great results together. And I don't want to wax lyrical.
Do you think it was that belief? Do you think it was their belief? What was it that
wasn't my belief?
What clicked?
Weren't my belief. No, it was family's belief. I think.
I
think the main thing for me, I couldn't afford to be my sister's shadow.
Yeah, okay.
This was my one chance to do something for me.
Yeah.
And all the drinking and all the partying, that stopped. I went to the gym, I lost about 2.5 stone, and I was fit. And then bang, that was me. And I was like, I've got something here. And then someone could see that I was pretty good. So I couldn't see that. I was just driving around crashing. So they said, you're fast. We just need to guide you. And they did that. But it was always my sister and my mum and dad just saying, just don't give up on it. Don't give up. And, you know, people like Mel B, if you've got a passion, don't lose your passion. And all these things going around, sometimes subconsciously, they're going around in your head.
Yeah.
And once you see a glimmer of light, you go, do you know what? They were actually right. So then you try hard and you work hard and then you start winning races and then you're a hero for a day and working in IKEA the next day. On bedroom, Paul from Bedrooms, not touring car king of Oulton Park, Paul O'Neill on live ITV. That was a bit different. But yeah, it was that's what clicked, and it was it's all those different good energies, me putting them together the best I could and making myself believe what they were telling me. But that's sometimes a difficult thing. I think your personality can bat that away. I don't like compliments. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't like them. Don't like compliments about London to Paris. I don't like compliments about my racing. You know, you were amazing in your day, mate. Don't want to know. I don't like them. I don't know what makes me don't like them. I couldn't tell you.
It's a lack of sort of, generally it can be like that esteem a little bit.
Self-confidence. I've never been confident. Literally, if you didn't know me and I walked into this place where we are, where there's maybe 100 people, I'd have my head down. I wouldn't want to talk to anybody. I'm quite conscious of how I look, of what people think of me. That's an inherent thing.
So many people go through that. So many people.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. But you know, when people might see me doing what I do for a job, they're like, you're so confident, you do this, you do that. It's a front. Because it gets me through my anxiety, and that's the way it is, and I'm not going to lie to you. So it is. It's your mind is such a powerful thing, and your brain's such a powerful thing that you're here to survive. Generally, I find, and whatever you can do to survive, you will do. And that's, you know, someone taught me on stage once. They said, if you're nervous, go on at 1,000 degrees Celsius, make the crowd say, who the effing hell's this fella?
Yeah.
And that's always helped me. I go in and I can see people sitting back in the seat going, what's this guy's deal? What they don't realise is I'm going, I hope this goes well. What are they thinking about me? It's making my throat tight actually now speaking about it, but that's how it is for me.
And have you tried things for that, like meditation or anything, or that'd be something that you should really look at.
Do you know what I did? So I've got a good friend, Danielle Simpson, who's got she had a book out about mindfulness and things, and we did a podcast together, Positive Pit Stop. So it was a bit like the racing, but also mental health and getting people to come on and talk about their things. And it was great in the pandemic. We did it really well, and you know, some of the stuff she was teaching people, we did manifestation things and breathing, the breathing with the nose and certain things. And I'll be dead honest, I'm just a typical fella. Yeah. And I'll do something once and I'm like, that worked really well. I'll keep doing that. Next thing, I'm on the motorway, I'm battling traffic on the M6 and I'm like, I've not got time to do that, so let's just crack on to the next thing. Would it help me? I think it really would.
Definitely it would. Yeah.
What you got to realise is my sister's probably one of the most spiritual people you'll ever meet. You know, like that lady has done the most amazing things, and a lot of it is down to how she controls her body and mind. And I've learned a lot from some amazing people, but because I'm a guy, I don't bother with it, and that's a very sad and honest thing to tell you.
Yeah, well, you need to maybe think about that, and it doesn't even take, I mean, I'm not a professional in meditation or anything at all, but I know that for my own self, even just 2 minutes a day can have a massive effect. Even just to stop, and even people have watches that'll just say,
that's
breathe
quite
for
cool.
a minute.
Yeah.
Breathe for a minute.
Isn't it funny that, you know, when you watch, I have that sometimes. It says breathe or whatever it says on your watch.
I'm breathing now.
No, but I'm not, because I've held
really?
my breath because someone's just messaged me something that's going to destroy the next part of my day, and I'm like, how do they know I'm anxious? They're onto us. Yes. But it is a good thing, and you know, and it's the well-being app, I think, on these particular watches, isn't it? But it's actually quite a cool thing, that, because I think we're all guilty of not, I don't want to get too into it, but not breathing properly.
No, that's true.
You know, and sometimes
we breathe up here so much, and that's where your anxiety is. And that's how, if you can control your breathing through meditation or through just mindfulness, you push your breath down into your stomach. I'm sure you've heard it many times, and that's where the calm is. That's where, like, if you're going into presenting or anything like that, it's kind of, if you just take a second, you'll be breathing right here in your chest. And if you can just breathe, push it down into your belly breathing. Most of the time people on camera are like it's breathing in because it's just, I want to look good on camera, but actually you're creating almost more anxiety by breathing up here. You need to like push that breath down. And
but that's something I've only seen, because I'm not a professional presenter. Well, I am on paper, but I'm not. I'm a racing driver who knows a bit about cars, and they want to listen to me.
An expert in that
field. Yeah. But the thing, it's funny what you say, because, you know, when you're in a racing car, you've got 6-point harness on, and you have to have it as tight as you can, because you need to be part of the chassis. You can't breathe any more than this. So that then creates that anxiety. As soon as the belts are off, you're absolutely fine, you know. And but I've worked with some great presenters who do some amazing things, and I try it, and it is good, but I'm just one of them people who just doesn't take it forward, and I should do, because it's like today you say about people learning things and how your life takes a path. It's amazing listening to what you've got to say, because, you know, some of your things is going to probably change how I feel and how I go about things as well. So yeah, I definitely need to look into that. But
set a timer on your phone. Do you know how to do it? Actually, bookend it onto something that you do every day anyway. So like when people brush their teeth, it's like you do that every day. Hopefully most people do. So after you've brushed your teeth, it's like, right, I'm going to sit down and just do my 2 minutes of meditation. And you don't even have to sit down. It can be just set my timer to 2 minutes of just breathing, but bookending it onto something. That's something that I've heard helps. Because
this, you know, for me, this is how I am. So torn meniscus in my knee, it's getting better, and also a grade 2 tear in my calf. I went to physio every week in lockdown. It was a nightmare. He gave me this elastic band thing. Did I ever do any of it? No, I didn't. And that's something that I think generally fellas are terrible at. They're just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll do it next week, or that's bad. And like you say, you need to make time for yourself. And
I think it's just like, if you have that thought, it's like, right, I'm going to do it now then. And not say, oh, well, I need, like, it's like people think with meditation especially, I've got to have a mat and I need some Zen spit, you know. And I remember when I first ever started to meditate, I did sort of 2 weeks, and it was 2 minutes a day, and it was wherever I was, and it was like, sometimes I'd be on a train and I'd be like, right, just put some headphones on so that it appeared I was listening to music, but I was just 2 minutes. And after 2 weeks, the experience of being able to kind of detach from my own thinking was really just wonderful. It was just, because it's like those anxious thoughts, or those thoughts that can control, you know, like in the moment, I really want to do really well. It's like that can then create these anxieties, and it's about being able to then detach and separate and go, actually, that's not really helpful now, because I am going to do my best anyway. I don't need to be telling myself that's making me feel not great, so shush now. And it kind of helps you with that, I think, really.
I think, definitely. And you know, for me, my meditation probably, if I think about it, is maybe my bike. You know, if I'm on a job, my bike comes with me everywhere, because if I've had a bad day, I need to just clear my mind, because there's nothing worse than being sat in a hotel room, which I do a lot of, and not do anything, and then you just go into the next day with a horrible, you know, it just feels like it releases your mind a bit, for me, biking anyway. But there's a lot to be done. I think everyone has their own meditation, you know, where, you know, even people you wouldn't think that have got, you know, either a problem or don't do it, they'll do something, but because they do something that they're subconsciously doing, they don't do something properly, like you're saying, and because it needs to be intense, I think, that to open you up, because otherwise you just sleepwalk into another problem. That's it. So that's my thing. It's
trying to become now, isn't it, and become present. And your cycling then is that. I think sometimes when I'm cycling, I find myself drifting into my thoughts, and then I think, no, where am I? I'm on the bike, right? Try and be on the bike. Try and hold the handles, look around, and then it kind of brings you to the present. I do think that's
you need to cycle faster then, so you've got no time to think.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I do my best. I try. It's not easy, but that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so, and you do, I do think that you generally have that personality. Like I see your social media, and I know Stuart, the producer, is saying that you've got such a warmth and a happiness. And I know, like you say, everyone's not happy all the time, but do you think that's through sort of these practices of cycling and kind of keeping yourself in balance and check? Or what is the secret to your happiness, would you say?
I don't have one friend that I don't like spending time with.
That's a good one.
I think that, the cycling is one of them.
Yeah.
I love my job. It's not a job. I do like a moan, but a lot of it is for purposes to try and make people just have a bit of a giggle at me, because they do laugh at me, a lot of people, and it's just, if I'm moaning, I'm fine. I'm just having a bit of a giggle. Do I sit at home sometimes and have an awful time and wish that, not that I wasn't around, but do I wish that things were different? Yeah, I think so. But I think that's, like I said, it's a normal thing to feel that.
Definitely.
Do you know what's really interesting? I've only found it through the pandemic, I think. Just as the pandemic started and then through the last couple of years, is I know if I'm going to be having a bad time, because I do have a bad time, like anybody. Yeah. Everybody does. If you don't, you're not human.
No.
And I mean, like, this is weird. I can feel myself on a bit of a downer, and I'm like, tomorrow's going to be a bad day. And I know it's going to be a bad day. Maybe I think myself into that. But if it is a bad day, then I just make sure I change something and get out, or I'll give someone a ring that is a friend and is a good person. Yeah. Do I talk about it? No, I don't. Don't talk to anybody about it. But I don't think I need to, because, and this doesn't mean everybody should think the same, but I don't, because the people I surround myself with, when I speak to them, it's just great. And it's great to be out and about, and we do things. Is that hiding? You've got maybe a bit of a problem? Probably is, now I say it and I speak out loud about it. So yeah, it is. It's It's
something that everyone does though. Everyone has these moments and these days. Like, that's one thing. If I'm not a consistent meditator, just going back to that, but when I find a difficult day coming, or I feel like, there's so many things, I will purposely meditate, and I will make sure that I'll go to the gym and do those exercises or movement. I think once you start to go into that sort of dark space, especially in your mind, exercise for me, or having the things that work for you, is really important, and knowing what those things are in those times where you think, actually I need to do something here, and mine's quiet, calm, or exercise, just because it changes your state almost. It's like your energy. So it's having things that you can do to help you in those moments.
Changes your balance, doesn't it? Like, one of the things I look forward to, and it's right up there in my top 3 things, is playing five-a-side football.
Yeah, that's
one,
brilliant.
Because I see my friends, but 2, because the endorphins and just the sense of being alive. It's just, I love being alive. It's like so cool. I get to drive. I jump in a race car. I'm driving at 170, 180 miles an hour. Look, your visor a little bit up, the wind, the elements.
Appreciating the moment.
Exactly.
It seems like you do.
It's amazing, and the bike is the same. It's in your wind's in your face. You're riding around. The weather's good, even in the rain, the winter, whatever. The seasons are great, aren't they? I don't tell myself this. That for me personally, that's how it is. But I think if you know I have too many friends who, they know that they're gonna have a bad time. They know it's gonna get worse, but they don't seem to do anything about it. That's what worries me, and that's why sometimes I spend quite a lot of time trying to just drag it out of them. Some people don't want to talk, and that's fine, and I get that, and I won't make them talk. I won't.
Some people just don't know how to, though.
No, they don't.
And it's like, it's something that they've never really had to do or never done, and so it's like, I don't know where to begin. And there's a fear, and there's But
you can change that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think my outlook's changed. I don't think it's age, but my outlook's changed, and I'm a bit more honest now, because I've changed what I do to combat it. And once you do that, and you feel, because some people, they stay at quite a low level, and they have a little spike and it's back to where they were.
Yeah.
But if you can change the balance, maybe by going out on your bike or walking or running or changing what you do in an environment, you become a different person, and then you'll talk. It's coming out of that, you know, maybe that lower state, because once you're in that lower, I've seen people that I've been there. I've never been in a space where I'm like, I don't want to be here. I really don't. But I've been close to being depressed and, you know, just not really enjoying it. And I change things, and that's, you know, you've got to give life a chance, I think, and you have to change something to make you feel better. But only you can do it. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
I find that's a big lesson, that if you've got the capability of changing, then it's on you. You've got to be able to do something.
Yeah, but I think as well, you know, it's very fortunate just to say I'm a very fortunate person. I know that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter who you are. Like,
there is ways to do it. No, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might have certain things and certain. Yeah.
Some people are restricted.
Yeah, they are.
I'm not really restricted, and I'm very fortunate, and I'll never forget that. But at the same time, you know, I understand other people's, you know, lives to a point, and I'll try to see what different angles they could go at. If I know them and they're my friend. So
but I think, like, with you being honest in the way that you are about this, it makes people go, actually, oh right, okay, everybody goes through it. You know, people even in a, like, even if somebody's out there who wants to be a presenter, it's like, oh okay, so I've kind of stopped myself doing that because I felt maybe I wasn't confident enough, or I'm not the right person, and it's you know, it really helps that next person, and why not?
And why not? And
it's
such
so
a nice
short.
thing.
It's like, just help other people talk, and then other people realise and think, oh, actually.
I've got a great little friend, Chris Hosey. His name is Scottish lad. I've known him for 10 years. He's 23. Now, I've known him for more than that. He used to be like a fan of racing, but he's autistic, and he doesn't have many friends, and he used to be here with like earmuffs on, and he, like, you know, it's difficult for him, but he loves racing, he loves presenting, he loves doing this, that and the other. I got him some work experience at ITV Sport the other day. Literally, it was like I'd give him £40 billion.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable, and I've always tried to include him in stuff because I think he's good.
Yeah.
But not just that, I just want him to do something as well. So it's good that, you know, I always think that people should always try to help
the next person,
whatever they can do. Like,
absolutely.
You know, I'm not looking for nothing.
No.
I just want people to have a good time.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Then there is so many people out there who do that, who actually genuinely care about other people, but I think often we don't always see them, and it's wonderful to hear that you do that. As you know, I try my best, and everyone here, I'm sure, does.
Yeah.
So okay, we're going to finish with. Yeah, okay, so I have to, coming to an end now. We've had a lovely chat, it's been great, thank you.
Cool.
I've just got I've got 3 big questions that I'd like to ask you, and nobody knows the answers to questions like this, but it's just, you know, what comes to mind. It'd be really nice, because I think you've got such a really jolly soul.
I feel anxious.
Breathe low, you're ready for these, right? It really is. No, it's not. They sound really huge, but you know, anyway. So, question number 1. So what do you think the key to success is?
Hard work, definitely. Trying to get rid of as many negatives about it as possible, and just be honest with yourself.
Thank you. And what do you think the secret to happiness is?
I think, again, surround yourself with the best people who make you happy.
Yeah.
And honest people as well. And that would be about it. And just enjoy what's going on. Enjoy the ride.
And finally then, the biggest one of them all, what do you think the meaning of life is?
You're going to trick me out with that one, because I always think I'm on the Truman Show, which I feel like I am on today. How will it end? What is the meaning?
It's that door behind you.
That was walking to.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of life?
What comes to mind?
I just think there's something else going on in another place, and maybe this is a holding pen for good people.
That's a wonderful way to look at it. Right, we're going to finish with a quote, because obviously Jolly Soul's all about quotes on the Instagram. So I'm going to ask you just to take a quote out, and I shall read it.
Okay. Oh, are you reading it?
Well, you can read it if you'd like to. This is yours.
You mean try to read your dodgy writing?
Yeah, it's not written. They're not written. It's printed. But anyway,
toothpicks.
Hopefully you got something good.
My word, diabetic eyes on this one. Right. Okay. Always keep faith that your life is aligning to its highest self. Katie Ross.
I wrote that one then, did I? So this has the thing. Did I write it?
I mean, did you get the smallest font you could and then minus it by 50%?
Yes. Well, that's for you then.
Is this
so
for me to keep?
Helps. Yeah, of course.
Thank you very
that's
much.
For you. I hope that helps in some way.
It's
and
like
thank
being
you
in
so
a
much.
Chinese restaurant.
Yes, I know. There's your look. That's the look.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
That's very kind.
And thank you for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been
grand.
Wonderful.
It's been very different, and I've loved it. It's really cool. So I'll take some good stuff away as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oulton Haven Hospice. If you can donate anything to this incredible cause, visit oultonhaven.org.uk.